Hey, what's up? This is Twisted. I'm going to keep this real brief and to the point. This is my spreadsheet for Miss Pandaria. I already entered in all these values. This is something I do every expansion. These aren't made up. This is my profile on Wowhead. I just data mined all of the gear. The stuff I selected is either things you could get from your reputation or our 4-piece tier set from just like normal mode. And I'm even shorting myself on quite a bit of spell power because I have the inscription weapon instead of like a 396 weapon or whatever. So yeah, that's the numbers that we're getting. They're all up here at the top. And then all of the values are placed into these fields below with the corresponding spells. I have the averages, then I have the crit values, and I have mastery, and I have the averages of the crit and mastery in this estimated number column. This accounts for Divine Aegis, and it's like randomness with crit, and tries to get as close as to a 100% accurate number as it can. I did a few other tabs. On this tab I have open is Evangelism, and the reason I have it on this tab is because Evangelism changes, the healing rotation will change depending on the priority of spells you cast. What I have here is like if I enter in these values like 1, 2, 3, 4, what this is the number of stacks of evangelism you have at the time you cast this corresponding spell, and then it just totals the spells and divides it and finds its healing per second and healing per mana. If you have it glyphed, you want to have Holy Fire first, so that's why I would have it at 0. But if you don't have Holy Fire glyphed, like check it out. Here's the healing per second and healing per mana. It's actually a healing per second and mana increase to cast it at the end of your rotation, which is kind of like I don't know, non-intuitive, but that's how it works out. And I'm not ever planning on running with a smite glyph. That's what I'm talking about when I say cast Holy Fire first, is that glyph of smite. I'm always going to have Holy Fire glyph to make it an instant cast. So yeah, this is my rotation with using only smites, and I also have like a Holy Fire only rotation in case I decide to cast Archangel once per minute. Then I have on this tab like theoretical AoE rotations. If you just spam Prayer of Healing like with no modifiers, it takes the values of these spell powers from this page, and it has all of the buffs that you would have from a raid already like calculated and Inner Fire calculated in. I didn't include Rapture, I didn't include Inner Focus, and I didn't include Prayer of Mending because although they might be like theoretical boosts to your healing per second, there's a lot of what ifs, and to keep it nice and simple, I'm just showing raw healing per second from Prayer of Healing versus a Archangel rotation. So raw Prayer of Healing rotation, just spamming it, healing per second is 98k. If you do Archangel, at my haste values, which again calculated on this main page, cast times, my haste values, you can fit in 15.84 seconds of Prayer of Heal before the Archangel buff falls off. I'm actually really close to squeezing in one more Prayer of Healing, but I'm stacking the secondary stats the way that I would do it at 90. So I squeeze in this much healing during Archangel, and then in order to get the stacks back up again, in order to use Archangel as close to off cooldown as possible, you don't want to be using smites or Holy Fires during Archangel because it's a loss of healing per second. And I know I wouldn't do that in a raid setting, but go with me here. If you do it outside of the Archangel, this is like the healing per second hit that you take, is like you take this much evangelism healing, it does this much healing per second, and then it's a 30-second cooldown on Archangel. You can get it back up again, but in between the evangelism and the Archangel Prayer of Heal, you actually have a few extra seconds to squeeze in a few more Prayer of Healing. So you have 9 seconds to do more Prayer of Healings that don't have Archangel running, and then I included them in this total. This total healing just sums up everything in this little mini 31-second rotation, and then it divides the healing per second over the total healing done. And as you can see, it's actually a slight loss in healing per second to do an Archangel rotation, so it's not something you want to be doing for sustained AoE, which is the point. If you need burst AoE, you can get this burst AoE number by doing an Archangel rotation, but comparatively to the rest of the classes, 95k healing per second, 98k sustained it's good enough. It'll pass for AoE. Archangel isn't like a mandatory thing. Archangel is only something that you'd use for burst. It's always been that way. It's been like that in the previous expansion. Just because it has a new multiplier doesn't mean that it's something you should work in rotationally. Only work it in only if you need to do that extra healing per second. If you don't need to do that extra healing per second, save yourself the flexibility in your rotation and just do sustained prayer of heal spam instead of Archangel. That's what I'm really trying to get out, is that even if you are struggling to do the mechanics and you can't do Archangel rotationally, if you just short it from your rotation, you're really not taking a huge hit in your healing per second. You're still doing pretty good sustained, and as long as you're doing that always be casting, you can still pump out some pretty good numbers. So that's all I'm trying to illustrate with this vid. If you like the math, or if you have questions about it, like what I have here running in my spreadsheet, I'll be happy to answer them in comments below. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in. If you like this vid or others on my site, you can help support me by liking, favoriting, subscribing, and even commenting. I'll try to respond best I can. And thanks for all the support, guys. I really do appreciate it.